Welcome to my video, and today we will learn about the topic functions in Python. We will learn by practicing some basic programs in Python using function. Okay, so at first I have opened my VS Code. You can see, and now in the VS Code, in the file section, I will upload the folder. Okay, so I will go to open folder, and then in downloads directly I have created a folder on Python practice, and I will open it. So select folder and I have opened it. Okay, so now I will go to the plus tab and I will create a file, a Python file inside my folder, and I will name it as function one function1.py. Okay, so our Python file is created. Now the first code that we will work on is using functions in Python, that is we will calculate the sum of two numbers. Okay, so the first program will be, very first program of today will be calculate the sum of numbers using functions. Okay, so now we move on to the folder or to the program. Okay, of calculating the sum of two numbers using functions. Sum of two numbers. Okay, so we begin with our program. At first we need to define the function block. Okay, so we start with the keyword def in Python, and now we can give a suitable name to our function. Suppose we are calculating the sum, so we give the function name as, suppose, calculate underscore sum. Okay, so this is a function name, and then the parenthesis will begin. Parenthesis means the bracket, and inside the bracket we need to pass the arguments or the parameters. Okay, so what will be the parameters in this case? We are calculating the sum of two numbers, so the two numbers will be the parameters. Okay, so we need to pass the two numbers. So suppose first number I am taking as num1 and the second number I am taking as num2. Okay, now both these belong to the int data type. Okay, so we classify it as int. Okay, so now the first line is done. Then we come to the second part, and inside the function block now we need to perform the whole mechanism of the program. Okay, means we need to calculate the sum of the numbers, and then we need to store it in a variable, in any variable. Suppose here we take a variable as total. Okay, and inside total we do the calculation part, that is num1 plus num2. Okay, so we have done the calculation part. Now we will return the variable total. Okay, so we have returned the variable total here. Okay, so we are done with the function block. Now we need to take the variable, take the parameters actually for the calculation part. Okay, so for the parameters we can take the parameters from user input, as well as we can take the parameters from defined. Okay, so if we take it from user input, that is num1 equal to int input, and then enter a number. Okay, this is for num1, and now we take it for num2 as well. Okay, so num2 equal to, yeah, so num2 also we have taken. Now we come to the main part of the program, that we have to call the function that we have created above, and we have to store it in a variable. Okay, so if we create a variable, suppose we create a variable of result. Okay, and we then call the function. What is our function? Our function is calculate underscore sum. So calculate underscore sum, and then in the brackets, in parentheses, we need to pass the parameters. So what are the parameters? Num1 comma num2. Okay, so we have passed the parameters. So what does this line mean? Actually we have called the function so that the whole process can execute and the whole process can perform the calculate sum function we have called it, and then we have stored in the variable result. Okay, now we can get the result through the variable result. Suppose I can print a statement using f string. Okay, so f then strings, it is used in Python to print, and then we can write that the sum of the numbers is, then we have to call this result variable by using a parenthesis. Okay, so our program is done here. Now we can execute it by, first we'll save the program. Okay, we can do one trick. We can go to the file section. Okay, and then we can click on autosave. On my desktop it is clicked. So now we can easily run this program. Okay, we can save it and we can run this program. So if we run this program, when it is asking for a number, so I put as 34. Okay, and then a second number I put as suppose 34 again. So the sum of numbers is 68. It is showing. Okay, so the program is successfully running. Okay, so we are done with the first program. Okay, now we go to a second program of today. So for the second program of today, we create another Python file and we name it as func2.py. Okay, and now we come to this one, and here the second code of today will be we will check whether a number is odd or even using function. Okay, using Python functions, we will check whether the number is odd or even. So we mention it that the program is check whether the number is odd or even using functions. Okay. Okay. Now we begin our code. So as I said, at first we need to define the function block. So we start with def, the keyword def. Okay. Now you can keep any suitable name to your program or function. So we can name the function as odd even checker. So odd underscore even. You can name it yourself. Okay. No problem. As you wish. So we do odd even checker. So we have done it. The function name is done. Okay. And inside the parentheses, then we again have to pass the parameter. So what is our parameter? Obviously, we have to check whether a number is odd even. So our parameter is number. Okay. And what is number? Which data type? It is of int data type. So we write as int. Okay. So we are done with the first line. Now, if we come to the mechanism, we have to check what is the mechanism for the odd even checker. So we can check using if else condition. Okay. So if according to the loop, if else condition, if the num modulus 2 equal to 0. This means if the number is completely divisible by 2 or it gives a remainder 0 when divided by 2, then it is even. We know that it is even. So what will it return? It will return even. Okay. And else, what will it return? Odd. So it will return odd. Okay. So we are done with the function block. Now what we need to do, as the earlier program, we need to take a variable num from user input. Okay, so num equal to int input, then enter a number. Okay, so we have taken a number from user input as num. Now the main part of the program, we need to call the function. Okay, odd underscore even dot checker. Oh, sorry, odd underscore even underscore checker. We need to call this function and we need to store it in a variable as our wish. So support again, we are taking a variable result, and we are in this, we are storing, we are calling the function and then we are storing in it. So when we call the function odd even checker, this is the function we have created, and we will call it by giving the parameters, that is num. So it is done. Okay. Now you can print as yourself. You can again print it by a f string. We will print it again by a f string, that is print f, then under the inverted commas, the number is and then we will give a curly brace and we will call the variable in which we have called the function and we have stored. So we have called it as result. Okay, so our program is done here. Okay, so now we need to execute the program. So first we save it and then we execute the program. Okay, so if we give suppose 45, the number is odd. Okay, so it is showing that 45 is odd. This means our program is correct. So we are done with the second program of today. So now we move on to the third program. Okay, so we create another Python file and we go to it and we name it as function3.py. Okay, now in this program we will learn how to pass float parameters. Okay, means suppose we are passing a float parameter, so how to deal with that. Okay, so suppose the program is we need to print height of someone. Okay, so we suppose print height. Okay, it's a simple program. So suppose it is print height in float using functions. Okay, so first what we need to do, we need to define a function block. So by def, as you all know. Okay, then suppose we give name of the function as print height. Okay, and inside what we need to pass, we need to pass the parameter that is obviously height, and we will take it in decimal places. We means it will not be a whole number. Suppose it can 5.6, it can be 6.6, it can be 4.5. Okay, so what is will be the category of this data type? It will be of float, so we take it as float. Okay, and then we go to the second line. So here we write the mechanism of the program or the function block. Suppose we will print a single line, a simple line we will print, that is my height is. Okay, and these are inverted commas, then comma, then the height, the parameter obviously that will come from the function block, and then again in inverted commas feet, means it will print this sentence that my height is height feet, means height means the height that will come from the function block. So this will print the whole sentence. Okay, now the function block is over. Now we can take the variable from user input, that is height. We have to take the parameter from user input. So height. So how, what is height? It is float input enter a number. So input enter a number, because we have already mentioned that it's a float data type. So here we can just do that input and enter a number. Okay, so it will work, I guess. So now the main part of the program, we need to call the function. Okay, so suppose we again take a variable result. Okay, and inside this we call this function, that is print height, and inside the parameter obviously it is height. So we have called the function and we have stored in the variable result. Now we print the result. Okay, and then we save the program and we run it obviously. So when we run it, it will ask for a number. Suppose I give it 4.5. Okay, so obviously it is giving that my height is 4.5 feet. So the program is successfully executed. So this was a very easy program, and I have just showed the demo how to pass a float argument or float parameter. Okay, so moving on to the next program, and the next program will consist of another topic in functions, that is here we need to pass boolean statements. Okay, means we need to pass bool parameters or boolean parameters in order to check the output. Okay, so we start with the to check bool parameters, means true or false, using Python. Okay, Okay. So then I'm starting the program. So first we define again by def, and suppose we give a name to this function that suppose we want to check a student. Okay, that if the argument is true, then the student is present. That is, I am a student. And if the argument is false, then it is not a student. Suppose this is the logic of the programs. Okay. So we will give a function name, suppose student checker or student check. Okay. Student check, suppose we give it a student check. Okay. So student check, and what do we need to pass here? Suppose we pass a parameter known as is underscore student. Okay. So is underscore student. We pass the parameter as is underscore student. Is this a parameter? Okay. And suppose it is of bool data type, because we are passing a bool data type, so it is bool data type. Means it can be either true or it can be either false. So now it is done. Okay. So the first line is done. Now we need to perform the mechanism. So we perform it by suppose if else condition. So if is student there. So as I am writing if is student, it means that it is true. Okay. If is student, we are passing only if is student means it is true. So if is students, then it will print a statement that I am a student. Okay. Okay. And or else means or else condition means it is a false statement. Okay. If a student means it is true and else means it's false. So what will it print? Then it will print that the opposite one, I am not a student. Okay. Okay. Now I think we are done with the function block. Now we need to go to the second part, that is we need to now take the variable from user input, or we take a parameter from user input, not variable. So is underscore student equal to, now we take it from user input, so input enter true or false. Okay, as we have classified it as bool, so it will automatically take it as a bool data type. So is input enter true, is student, is underscore student equal to input enter true or false. Okay, so our statement is done. Now we need to convert the bool into string characters. Okay, means we, this is a bool, so we need to convert it into string, or we need to convert a string to the bool. Okay, so we need to convert it properly. So what we will do, we will put another if else condition. So if is student equal to true, okay, so is to, if is student equal to, sorry, if is student equal to true, if is underscore student equal to true, so now we can actually, we can do it in another way also. We can call this function again, and we can check once. Okay, oh sorry, actually I was doing a mistake. So what we need to do is that so here what we have to do, we have to call the main function, that is student check. Okay, there is student underscore check, that is our main function, and inside that we need to pass the parameter, that is a student, obviously. Okay, so we have passed the parameter. So now we can print the result, okay, as we have done in the earlier cases. So we have printed result. Now we can run this program. Okay, we can save it and we can run this program. So if we enter it as true, so it is showing that I am a student. Okay, so it is successfully running. So there is no problem in this execution. Okay, so it is successfully running. We have taken a variable is underscore student parameter, and we have then entered true or false. If we enter true, then it is showing I am a student. So it is running successfully. Okay. So now we come to the last program of today, that is we need to check, or we need to create a Python function by which we can print the rectangle and rectangle area and perimeter. Okay. So we name it as function pipe.py, and here we start writing the code. Okay. So what will be the topic of our code? Print rectangle area and perimeter using functions. Okay, so we start with the code. First, we define the function block def. Okay, now suppose we give some unique name to our function. Suppose we give a name that give rectangle underscore stats. So because all of these are stats only, area, perimeter. Okay, so we are giving this name of the function, and suppose we need to pass, now we need to pass the parameters. So what will be the parameters? One will be length and another will be breadth. Okay, and both of these belong to int category, so I classify it as int. Okay, so it is done, first line is done. Now we need to perform the mechanism. So what is the mechanism? First we do it for the perimeter. So what is the perimeter of a rectangle? It is 2, then into means star, we put a bracket at the first also. So suppose in the inside bracket 2 star, then another bracket length plus breadth. Okay, now we close the second bracket also. So we are done with the perimeter. What is area? Area equal to length inside a bracket, length into breadth. Okay. Now we have done both the calculations. Now we will pass the variables, that is perimeter and area. So we will simply return. We will simply return area, comma, perimeter. So we are done with the main function block. Okay. Now just we need to create, or we need to take the parameters from user input, or we can define it also. So suppose we take it from user input, length equal to int input enter enter a length. Okay. Okay. So and same goes with the breadth also. Okay. So input enter a breadth. Okay. So we are done with it. Now the main part of the program, that we have to call the function. And suppose we store in a variable, suppose rect underscore area. that is one for the area, and rect underscore perimeter. There is one for the perimeter. These are the variables, and we can commonly store the call value in these two variables. Okay. Now we simply call the function that is give rectangle stats, and inside the parenthesis or we will pass the parameters that are simply length and breadth. Both are of int type. So we have called the function and we have passed the parameters length and breadth, and we have stored in the two variables rect underscore area and rect underscore perimeter. Now just we need to print by, suppose we need to print by f strings. So we start with f strings. First we will do for the area one, the area of the rectangle is, and what can we do? We suppose we give a s2, okay, and then we call this variable rect underscore area inside curly braces. So rect underscore area inside curly braces we have called it. Okay, and now we will do the same for the perimeter part. Print again by f string the perimeter of the rectangle is 2, and then we need to pass the rect underscore perimeter. Okay. Okay. So successfully we have written the program. Now we need to execute it. The main part of the program, we need to execute it. So first we save the program and then we execute it. Okay. So when we execute it, we put a length. Suppose it is asking for enter a length. So we enter a length 12. Suppose breadth as 10. Okay. So it is successfully printing the area. Area is length into breadth. So length is 12 and breadth is 10. So area of the rectangle is 120. And what will be the perimeter? It will be length plus breadth into 2, that is 22 into 2, 44. So we have successfully printed the area and the perimeter. So we have done the fifth program successfully. We have executed it successfully. So hope the programs are very easily understood. And that's all for today. Thank you.